Hi, I'm Javaune Simpson, and welcome back to Speak Up. Now, for today, I'll just be telling you about my experience in going on the road for the first time in weeks. Now, I can assure you guys that it's perhaps for the most part, it's not exciting and it's not fun. Like, if it is that you pay attention to detail half as much as I do, or you get annoyed, not easily. I wouldn't say I get annoyed easily, but if you get annoyed by persons not doing the right thing, like intentionally not doing the right thing, then going on the road is not for you. Like last week, I went on the road for the first time in weeks, as I mentioned before, and I went on the road to get some stuff for work, along with other stuff, I believe. And in going on the road, I went to Flow, right? And I was right there in the line, maintaining social distance and all that. Upon getting into the store, they spray their hand and all that, rub it together, trying to get rid of any viruses or whatever might be on your hands, bacteria, whatever it might be. And so I did that. I went to the line again, to go to the cashier or customer service agent, and upon approaching, right, I waited my turn, and upon approaching the window, I was speaking to the lady, and she was like, yo, I asked her, because I wanted to purchase a SIM card, and I asked, what is the procedure to actually get a SIM card? Just because I know that, it's not just bringing your money and just paying for it just like that. I know that you have to present some ID, something like that, right? So I wanted to know the procedure, and if it was that I actually, was actually prepared at that time. So I was like, I asked, she said, photo ID, I believe, and a TRN. And so I was taking off my ID from around my neck, right? But then I remember that, hey, I have my expired driver's license in my wallet, right? I keep the new one around my neck, and I keep the expired one in my pocket, right? So just to give her that one, because giving that mine was in a case, I didn't want it to be like I'm just handling the case and then I put it back around my neck and all these things, corona time, right? And so I decided I was going to give her the expired one, because not like she actually asked for anything that wouldn't be on that expired identification card. And so I handed it over to her. She was like, this is expired. So I was like, yeah, but it's the same TRN number. And she's like, it's expired. I was like, alright, cool. I just continued taking off the current driver's license from around my neck, and I took it out the case. I handed it to her. Then this is where I get tipped off. Now, just to inform you, her attitude was not that bad, but it wasn't good either, right, thus far. But nevertheless, there was somebody at the side trying to talk to her about business, I guess. But nevertheless, I was the one that was right there in front of her. I was the one that was supposed to be getting dealt with at that appointed time, because I waited my turn in the line. But I didn't say anything about that. He was talking to her, fine, cool, as long as she's dealing with what she needs to deal with for me. But nevertheless, she wasn't even doing that. She was doing something else. So I guess she was finishing up from the previous person that actually came, right? Which is fine. I don't mind being patient for that reason. Next, while talking to her, or while waiting rather, another man approached on my left side this time. He approached the window there, where the other agent was. Then he looked over and started talking to the person in which I'm talking to. She then invited this man into my personal space, telling him to come over to this window without even telling me to dress back or anything like that, or telling me, yo, can you give me a minute or whatever it might be. She was just like, come over to this window. I know it would have been interpreted as being rude, but nevertheless, I really didn't want to care at that appointed time, because I felt disrespected for you to invite somebody into my personal space just like that. In a time such as this, when you're telling persons to remain socially distant with a minimum of 6 feet, and this person was invited into my personal space. And so I dressed back I made a spin around, as a matter of fact. I turned my back to her, and then I turned around again. Up and turning back around, this lady handed over my driver's license to the lady next to her, saying, yo, can you do this client for me, please? Then she was like, sir, go over to that lady. So I was like, what? I didn't say that out loud though, but in my mind I was like, what? Because if I said that out loud, I know that probably she would say something to me, and then I would actually respond, you know. And then, you know, the rude side of me would have come out. I reached out, I took up my expired driver's license, I moved over to the other desk, or move over to the other window rather, and I just proceeded to the business. Then this lady now was like, the current one was like, just give her a couple minutes or something like that. And I was like, alright, cool. So I stood there, waited. Then she handed me a paper to sign my signature on it. So we know if you're getting something to sign, we need to read it properly to ensure that we're not signing anything that's, you know, improper or just not, you know, just not what we wanted to sign over. You understand? And so I read. There were like 3 lines above this signature, and so I read it. And to be honest, my mind wasn't even there because I was just a bit upset about how the previous person handled things. And so I was like, yo, this really tipped me off, you know. Like, I was just wondering to myself, should I even get a SIM card here? It's the first actually getting a Flow SIM card. As a matter of fact, I have my digital SIM card from like 5th grade, from primary school, and that's how long I have it. From it was like the first, well, not like, it is the first number I've ever had. And the first phone that I ever had was a digital phone and the same SIM card. So I've never had an experience of actually going to get a different number. I've been to digital to get a replacement SIM card, of course, but never going to the other network, right? And so I went, and I was just there, and I read the first 2 lines, but however the 3rd line, I was just, in my mind, I was like, what's the word? Discombobulated. You know, I was a bit like that in my mind, and so I was like, sure, whatever. So I asked her, because this was a question that I wanted to ask, but because of what was taking place, you know, I just didn't get to ask the question. And so I asked if it was a necessity for me to actually have a phone on me, for me to actually put the SIM card in, for me to actually make the purchase, you know, just to activate the SIM card or whatever it might be. I don't know what it takes to actually do that, you know, that transaction. As I said, I've never done it before like that. In other situations, I would have just had my digital phone and my digital SIM card, you understand me? So at least I would have had something to put it in and use it just the same right away. So I asked the question. She was like, sir, I just handed you the paper to sign the paper. If that was necessary, I would have told you. I was like, what? In my mind, I was like, what? And then I felt so disrespected, and I was like, yeah, but that's not why I asked. I was just asking because I wanted to ask. Like, it's not because I was prompted by anything on the paper. It was just because I wanted to ask. I had that question in my mind and I wanted to ask. You know, I didn't say it in that many words, but I said it, right? And she was like, sir, I just handed you the paper to sign. And I was like, okay then, cool. And so I signed it, you know, trying to be a good Christian and all. And so I just signed it, handed it back over. And at that point, I didn't hand over any money or anything like that. So I could have very well just dropped that paper and just walk out. But, you know, that's just me. I was just, you know, trying to turn the other cheek type of thing. And then handed over back. Then paid the money, got out of there. No, before the day ended, I went to the pharmacy. Now, this is where, I got tipped off even more. I went to the pharmacy, and to be honest, the pharmacist was excellent. You know, shout out to that pharmacist. She was excellent, right? So she assisted me well, and so she handed me this paper to go and pay for whatever I wanted at the pharmacy to the cashier. And so I went over there. So I was there in a line about 3 persons, or 2 persons rather, in front of me, and I would have made the 3rd person. But however, it's a minimum of 6 feet, so it kind of seemed like a long distance. And so, to be honest though, I wasn't like 6 feet away from the lady in front of me. I was like 4.5, 5, because the store is just not that big. You understand me? So I went there, and I stood there in the line. I stood like socially distant, nevertheless, right? Upon approaching now, like I was like the second person. No, I was like the next person to approach the cashier. Then this lady came in with her mask and everything, which is good, right? She stood behind me. Now when I said this lady stood closely behind me, she stood close behind me, right? And I mean less than 3 feet, probably even less than 2. So she stood there. Then I was like, alright, cool. She had on her mask and everything, and she's like 2 feet away, so let me not say anything. Plus I was already upset, so if I actually said anything, it might have come out in a rude way. So I just didn't bother saying anything. Oh my god. Upon thinking all that to myself, I saw her returning something in her hands to the shelf, right? I guess she didn't want it again, and she came a bit close to do that, but that's fine. She was just returning something. Let me just not be what they would probably term as being stuck up or whatever it might be. So I was like, cool, just chill them, man. People, believe you me. Now this is a Kevin Hart thing. Believe you me when I say that this lady was less than 2 feet away from, as a matter of fact, less than 1 feet or less than 1 foot. Oh my god. English teacher would be ashamed of me. Nevertheless, she was less than 1 foot away from me, right? When I looked around, the lady was like this close to me. I kid you not, the lady was like this close to me. Then it's like it's like my face communicated to her what my lips wouldn't communicate to her. And I saw her look at me, and just as I was about to turn around back, because I was just really and truly trying not to say anything, and I saw that she dressed back a bit. Thank you for backing up a bit. And believe you me when I say this lady backed up a bit, it was like 2 feet away. Less than 2 feet away. Less than 2 feet away she backed up. And I just went to the cashier. I just went back to the pharmacist. I just got what it is that I wanted to get. Said bye and I left. I believe I said bye or thanks. I know I would have said that. That's me. Right? And I went out. And I went and I told my mother about the experience. Upon leaving Kingston and coming back into Portmore, oh my god, we went through this community, and I mean, like, I was so annoyed. Like, all that happened in the past, in the same day, Flo and that lady in the pharmacy, plus seeing so many persons gathering around, talking to each other and not wearing a mask. And I saw a conductor trying to get passengers in the bus, and he didn't have a mask anywhere that was visible. So I don't know if he had it on his arm or in his back pocket or whatever, or wherever rather, but I didn't see any mask. So I mean, that was my day. Back on the road for like the first time since being in the shutdown for St. Catherine or Portmore, and I mean, to be honest, at first I was a bit kind of excited to go and just get what I needed to get. But then I came back home like, yo, oh my god, that was like a day and a half. It was like a day and a half out there, people. So, I mean, if it is that you need to go on the road, just be careful, extra careful. And just keep in mind that, not everybody knows what socially distant is. And some of them don't even really care, to be honest. I mean, some of them know what 6 feet apart looks like, but some of them just really don't care. They know, a lot of people do know how to wear the mask, but they just really don't care. That's just the Jamaican behavior, to be honest. I mean, we're spoiled people. We have been raised this way, so it's hard for us to actually change now, and to get ourselves together when it is that we're in a crisis or we're experiencing a pandemic. So it's hard for us to actually adjust right now. But that's us as a people. I mean, we need to change, but when will that be? When will that be? I mean, oh my god, I hope somebody will see this and just start adjusting their behavior, if it is that they're anything like that. Now, this has been Speak Up with Javaune Simpson, and yeah, keep safe, keep socially distant. Much love, God bless.